So the Baltimore Ravens just made a huge move, and honestly, it's the kind of move that doesn't just make headlines. It sets the tone for the entire season. Kyle Hamilton, one of the most dynamic and versatile defensive backs in the entire league, just inked a massive 4-year extension worth $100 million. $82 million of that, guaranteed. That's not just an extension. That's a statement. That's the kind of money that tells you Baltimore sees Hamilton not just as a piece of their defense, but as a core foundational block for the future. And let me tell you something. This deal doesn't come out of nowhere. If you've watched Hamilton over the past few seasons, you know he's been an absolute game changer. He's not just playing one position, he's all over the field. Slot corner? Check. Single high safety? Done that. In the box? No problem. The man covers ground like a hawk and hits like a linebacker. He's the modern NFL safety prototype, and Baltimore just locked him up through the end of the decade. That's what championship franchises do. They identify their true elite, and they don't wait around. But here's the thing that really got people talking. Right after that deal went down, head coach John Harbaugh dropped a little hint that might not even qualify as a hint. It was more like a megaphone blast. Harbaugh said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that Hamilton deserved every penny and that he hoped Kyle would at least buy the ice cream truck for the team that day. But then, with that classic Harbaugh smirk, he let it slip that this isn't the last deal. In fact, he made it sound like this was just the beginning. And now the speculation engine is revving up. If Kyle's been extended, who's next? Because one thing's clear, the Ravens aren't done. This front office knows what it has in terms of elite talent, and they don't want to let key pieces drift into free agency. So you better believe some conversations are already happening behind the scenes. Could it be Lamar Jackson? Could it be Tyler Linderbaum? Maybe even Zay Flowers, or someone else a little less expected. The clock is ticking with the regular season right around the corner, and if they want to lock in another star before kickoff, they don't have much time. Let's go back to the Hamilton deal for a second, because it's not just big, it's historic. He reset the safety market. He's now the highest-paid safety in NFL history, topping the average annual value by around $4 million per year. And that's wild when you think about it, because we're not talking about a quarterback or a wide receiver here. We're talking about a safety, a position that doesn't always get the love it deserves financially. But Hamilton's not your typical safety. He's a chess piece, a weapon. And honestly, this feels like a bargain in a couple of years when that salary cap keeps climbing and other safeties start getting paid. You know what's wild? Just 2 years ago, Lamar Jackson signed a deal that made him the highest-paid quarterback in NFL history. Fast forward to now, he's not even in the top 5. That's how quickly things move in this league. So if you're a Ravens fan, you've got to love the foresight here. They're locking in elite talent before the prices go even higher. And with Hamilton, they're betting on a guy who hasn't even hit his prime yet. Think about what this defense can do with Hamilton locked in. He gives them ultimate flexibility. Defensive coordinators dream of guys like him. Want to play man coverage? He can do that. Need someone to drop deep in a cover 2 or cover 3 shell? No problem. Blitz off the edge? Yep. Shut down a tight end in the red zone. He's your guy. There's a reason he was a first-round pick, and there's a reason he's earned every bit of that new contract. Now, while everyone was buzzing about Hamilton, the Ravens quietly went about finalizing their practice squad and trimming the roster. And there were definitely some surprises. Some names fans thought were locks who didn't make it, and a few guys who clawed their way onto the squad. Baltimore had 3 players claimed off waivers, the second most in the entire league. That tells you a lot about the depth on this team. Other franchises are watching Baltimore's cuts and saying, yeah, we'll take some of that. Jalen Armour-Davis got scooped up by the Titans. Not shocking, really. He's shown flashes and was likely on a lot of teams' radar. Defensive lineman Rayshad Nichols, another guy who had a strong preseason, also got picked up, as did safety Bo Braid. And it always stings to see young talent walk out the door, but that's the price you pay when your roster is this deep. You just can't keep everybody. Now, there were also a couple of surprise omissions from the practice squad. 7th-round pick Nick Samak didn't make the cut. Same with offensive lineman Darian Dalcourt, who some people thought might even push for a backup role on the active roster. But again, it's a numbers game. There are only so many spots, and the Ravens had to make tough calls. The final practice squad, though, it's solid. Tyler Huntley made it back, and that was a smart move. You always want that insurance policy at quarterback, especially when you've got a mobile guy like Lamar who takes more hits than most. You've also got veterans like Brent Urban back in the fold, which adds stability and leadership. And then there's a mix of young talent. Chandler Martin, Malcolm, CJ Okoye, guys who could easily get elevated if injuries hit or performance demands it. One name I want to highlight is Zaire Mitchell-Payton. Don't be shocked if he gets called up early, especially with Isaiah likely dealing with an injury. Harbaugh's always valued versatility at tight end, and Mitchell-Payton could be a plug-and-play option in those early weeks. Another one to watch is Keandre Jones, a guy who brings energy and special teams value, something that's going to matter a ton in those first few games. Eric DeCosta and the front office deserve a lot of credit for how they've managed this roster. It's not just about collecting talent. It's about structuring contracts, reading the market, and making the hard decisions when necessary. He said something interesting during the extension press conference, that he views roster building kind of like musical chairs. You've got a lot of great players, but only so many spots and only so much money. So you sign as many as you can, as quickly as you can, and eventually, the music stops. Some guys are going to be left standing. He also made it clear, they know they can't keep everyone. And you've got to respect the honesty there. Too often, GMs try to sell fans on the idea that they're going to keep the whole core together forever. That's just not realistic in a salary cap league. DeCosta didn't sugarcoat it. He said, flat out, that in the coming years, you're going to see good players leave. That's the reality, and they've accepted it. So the mission now? Win now. Win this year. That's the urgency you're feeling around this Ravens team. There's a window here. A real, tangible window where the roster is stacked, the quarterback is elite, and the defense is filled with young, explosive talent. You've got your franchise safety locked in through 2030. You've got a coach in Harbaugh who's been to the top of the mountain and knows what it takes to get back there. There are no excuses left. And this is why Harbaugh's comments carry so much weight. When he says they're not done with extensions, that means they're serious about keeping this core together, at least as much as possible. You look around the locker room and you see players like Tyler Linderbaum, Mark Andrews, Roquan Smith, Marlon Humphrey, Zay Flowers, all of them potential extension candidates over the next 1 to 2 years. But they won't all stay. The trick is picking the right ones. For me, Lamar Jackson is obviously the priority. You've got to restructure that deal before next season. No way can you go into the next cap year with a $70 million hit at quarterback. That's just not sustainable. But after Lamar, it's got to be Linderbaum. They declined his 5th-year option because of the inflated price tag, which was probably the right move strategically. But you can't let a talent like that walk. He's the anchor of your offensive line, and you haven't had that kind of consistency at center since Matt Bierk. Linderbaum can be that guy for the next decade. You lock that down. But hey, just like with Kyle Hamilton, you don't wait too long. Because the market's not going to wait for you. Creed Humphrey just reset the center market at $18 million per year. If Linderbaum keeps playing at the level he's at, you better believe his number is going to climb fast. So if you're Baltimore, you move early and get the deal done while you can still set the terms. And that's the thing. The Ravens aren't just reacting to the market, they're trying to stay ahead of it. The Hamilton deal? That's forward thinking. 2 years from now, we're going to look back and say, man, they got a steal. Just like we're doing right now with Lamar's contract. That's what smart teams do. Now, let's pivot to something just as crucial, but maybe a little less flashy, the depth of this Ravens roster. Because listen, you don't build a championship team just with stars. It's not just about Lamar, Hamilton, or Roquan Smith. It's about the guys who step in when injuries hit, when the schedule gets brutal, when you're playing a Thursday night in December and 3 starters are out. That's where Baltimore has been quietly stacking advantages, and that's what separates contenders from pretenders. The Ravens didn't just build a strong starting lineup, they built a roster with layers. And when you look at the guys who made the team, who made the practice squad, and who didn't, you start to see the bigger picture. Let's go back to that defensive backfield. Losing Jalen Armour-Davis stings. He was coming into his own this preseason, showed solid progress, and he's a former draft pick. But it came down to the numbers game. Baltimore had to prioritize young talent they control long-term. That's a huge piece people forget when they react to cuts. Contracts matter just as much as performance. Eric DeCosta even said it. When you've got 2 players with similar upside, you lean toward the one you have long-term control over. Armour-Davis was in the final year of his deal. Players like Quantez Stiggers and Brandon Hill, they're under team control for the foreseeable future. So Baltimore made the tough call. And honestly, it's better to lose a player like that because you have too much talent, not because you're scrambling to fill holes. Let's also not forget about how deep the defensive line rotation looks. Losing Rayzad Nichols to waivers wasn't ideal, but Brent Urban coming back adds veteran leadership and interior strength. You've got Justin Matabike, who's coming off a breakout year. Michael Pierce is still a force when healthy. Travis Jones is ascending. Broderick Washington adds depth. And then you've got edge guys like Odafe Owa and David Ohabo, who both need to have big seasons. And they can. But the safety net is there. You're not depending on rookies to figure it out on the fly. You've got bodies. You've got rotation. You've got options. Offensively, things get even more interesting, especially when you talk about the offensive line. And man, that's where I think this roster might be a little underrated. People talk about the weapons, about Lamar, about Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers, and they should, but everything starts up front. And this unit, while not filled with household names outside of maybe Ronnie Stanley and Tyler Linderbaum, has a nasty, gritty, flexible core. But make no mistake, the O-line is under pressure. Ronnie Stanley has to stay healthy. He's missed too much time in recent years, and this offense desperately needs him to be the rock on the blind side. If he's not right, that whole left side becomes vulnerable, and then the dominoes start to fall. But assuming he's ready, and all signs point to him being good to go, you've got the centerpiece in Linderbaum, who is as technically sound and mobile as any center in the league. You can build around that. John Simpson came out of nowhere last year and earned his spot. That's what you want to see. And then there's still the developmental curve for guys like Andrew Voorhees, who redshirted last year and is now pushing for a rotational spot. That's what this team does. They plan ahead. They don't wait for disaster to strike before they develop depth. They're always grooming the next man up. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, Isaiah Likely. His injury changed the tight end room immediately. Baltimore was expected to come into the season with Mark Andrews and Likely as that dynamic 1-2 punch. But now, with Likely out for the early stretch of the season, the Ravens had to get creative. That's why you saw Zaire Mitchell-Payton make the practice squad. He's probably going to be elevated at least for Week 1. Harbaugh values that second tight end in his scheme. It's not just about catching passes. It's about formations, mismatches, run support. Mitchell-Payton's not flashy, but he can hold down the spot until Likely returns. And when Likely is back, man, that opens everything up. And speaking of opening things up, let's not overlook how dangerous this wide receiver group is now. Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar, and the rookie Devontae Walker. This might be the deepest receiver core Lamar has ever had. And you're adding that into an offense that already includes Mark Andrews and Derrick Henry? That's a problem for defenses, especially if you're going up against them without depth in the secondary or without a linebacker who can hang in coverage. This offense is built to be explosive and balanced. Henry gives you that downhill power, and if you sell out to stop the run, Lamar is going to make you pay through the air. If you drop safeties back, Henry will chew you up underneath. And then you've got Flowers, who can turn a bubble screen into a 60-yard gain. This is what Ravens fans have been waiting for, an offense with real versatility, real balance, and real firepower. Now, if you're wondering where the concerns are, I'll be honest with you, there are a few. The pass rush is still one area I'm watching closely. Odafe Owa and David Ohabo have to prove they can deliver consistently. We've seen flashes, especially from Owa, but the sack numbers have to come. Ohabo, coming off that Achilles injury in college, now has a full offseason to prepare. It's time to show it. The tools are there. The talent is there. But the production needs to be there now, especially with this schedule. And that brings us to coaching, because John Harbaugh has never had more on his plate than he does this year. This roster? It's championship caliber. The expectations? Super Bowl or bust. This isn't a rebuild. This isn't a developmental year. This is the year. Everything's lined up. The roster, the salary cap, the health, the schedule. Harbaugh knows it. DeCosta knows it. Lamar definitely knows it. That's why you hear so much urgency in their tone. That's why Harbaugh wasn't shy about saying they might not be done with contract extensions. It's why DeCosta is playing musical chairs with the cap space, trying to lock guys in now before the price tag jumps another 15 or 20%. Because this window, it's not going to stay open forever. And the minute it closes, you're back to chasing. And let's be clear, Harbaugh and DaCosta have been brutally honest about that. They've admitted that not everyone's going to stay. That's not defeatist. That's just reality. You can't keep all your talent in a salary cap league. So when you have this much talent under one roof, in one locker room, you go all in. And that's exactly what Baltimore's doing. These guys are not thinking about 2026 or 2027. They're thinking about right now. You look at the locker room energy, you listen to the press conferences, and it's obvious. This team believes it can win a championship. And more than that, they believe they should. It's not just talk. It's confidence. It's chemistry. And it's hard-earned. They've gone through the disappointments. They've seen seasons fall apart. Now they've got the pieces, and they know the time is now. And don't underestimate what Lamar Jackson brings in that context. He's not just the quarterback. He's the heartbeat of this team. And now that he's healthy, happy, and locked in, that's terrifying for the rest of the league. Because a locked-in Lamar is a cheat code. The offense hums differently when he's at his best. The confidence bleeds over to the defense. The team walks differently. They play faster. They take more risks. They believe. That's what makes this season different. That's why locking in Hamilton mattered so much. Because when you show your young stars that you value them, that you're building around them, they buy in harder. They give more. They lead. Hamilton's not just a great player. He's a tone setter. And when you've got players like that on both sides of the ball, Lamar on offense, Hamilton on defense, you can build something special. So now it's all about execution. The pieces are in place. The coaching staff is experienced. The roster is deep. The front office is aggressive. The quarterback is elite. The locker room is unified. The expectations are sky high. There's no hiding from it anymore. This is a team built to win a Super Bowl. And now, it's time to go out and prove it. Every week matters. Every game is a test. But with the roster Baltimore has built, and the momentum they've created heading into the season, they've got every reason to believe this is the year they can finally bring another Lombardi trophy back to the city. It's all there for the taking. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. The news has sent shockwaves through the NFL, leaving fans and analysts scrambling to process the implications. The Baltimore Ravens have reportedly secured a deal with TYREEK Hill, a move that, if true, would instantly transform their offensive identity and potentially redefine the landscape of the league. Sources suggest the discussions between Hill and the Ravens have been progressing behind closed doors for weeks, with the speedster's penchant for explosive plays fitting perfectly into Baltimore's already dynamic scheme. Rumors indicate that the front office, led by a team desperate to recapture the dominance of past seasons, saw an opportunity to add a weapon capable of stretching defenses vertically like no other. Hill, known for his game-breaking acceleration and elusive route running, would instantly become the focal point of the Ravens' passing attack, creating nightmares for defensive coordinators who would now have to account for a player who can turn any touch into a potential touchdown. Speculation continues to grow about how this signing could shift the balance of power in the AFC North, with opponents likely reassessing their defensive strategies even before the ink is dry on any official announcement. Analysts are already drawing comparisons to some of the fastest offenses in recent memory, suggesting that Baltimore could now possess the quickest aerial threat combination in NFL history, combining Hill's electric speed with Lamar Jackson's unique improvisational ability. The sheer audacity of the rumored acquisition has created a frenzy among fans, with social media exploding in conjecture, memes, and heated debates over the potential impacts on the Ravens' offensive efficiency and championship aspirations. If the reports prove accurate, the team's front office may be lauded for its boldness or criticized for its high-stakes gamble. But either way, the NFL is watching with bated breath, and every rumor surrounding Hill's signing is being dissected as if it were gospel truth. Insiders whisper that the Ravens' move to bring Hill aboard might be more than just a one-year splash. It could signal a larger strategy aimed at creating an unprecedented level of offensive speed and unpredictability. According to sources who claim to have inside knowledge of team deliberations, the front office meticulously studied the potential chemistry between Hill and Jackson, envisioning a series of plays that exploit their combined acceleration and quick decision-making under pressure. The murmurs circulating around training facilities suggest that coaches are already fantasizing about the possibilities of quick screens, deep bombs, and jet sweeps designed to leverage Hill's unparalleled top-end speed. There's talk of integrating motion-heavy schemes, pre-snap shifts, and creative use of the slot receiver position, effectively turning defenses inside out on a weekly basis. Rumors further hint that veteran players on the roster are both excited and apprehensive, understanding that the presence of Hill would not only open opportunities for the running game, but also increase expectations for flawless execution across the board. Social media, fueled by anonymous insiders and questionable sources, has exploded with speculation about whether this signing could make the Ravens' passing game the fastest in NFL history, with potential comparisons to historically dominant offenses like those of the early 2010s Packers or Saints. Betting circles are abuzz with chatter about how such a signing could influence game totals, player props, and overall team odds for the Super Bowl. Conversations on fan forums suggest a sense of inevitability, as if Hill's rumored arrival will automatically elevate Baltimore to a league-wide contender, regardless of defensive or roster shortcomings. Coaches, analysts, and even rival general managers are purportedly watching the situation closely, trying to predict not just the immediate impact, but also the cascading effects on matchups, draft strategies, and free agent acquisitions. The excitement surrounding Tyreek Hill's potential move to Baltimore has prompted endless debates over how it would transform the Ravens' offensive philosophy, with rumors suggesting that the team is planning radical shifts designed to exploit every inch of Hill's elite athleticism. Speculation from sources close to the organization indicates that the coaching staff has been conceptualizing a series of high-tempo packages, utilizing Hill in ways that maximize spacing, acceleration, and defensive confusion. The chatter implies that game plans might now feature unconventional formations, including empty backfields, motion from multiple wideouts, and deep post patterns that could turn every snap into a vertical threat. Meanwhile, whispers suggest that Lamar Jackson is reportedly excited by the prospect of having a receiver who can consistently stretch the field, providing him with the kind of safety valve and explosive target that few quarterbacks ever experience. Analysts and fans alike are theorizing about how Hill's speed could open running lanes for the Ravens' backfield, as defenders would be forced to cheat toward coverage responsibilities to prevent the deep threat, creating space underneath for rushing attempts and short passing combinations. Social media speculation portrays the team as potentially possessing the fastest combined offensive skill set in NFL history, blending Hill's track-like acceleration with Jackson's agility and decision-making. Rumors even extend to alleged practice scenarios where Hill's presence transforms pre-snap reads, allowing quarterbacks to make split-second adjustments to exploit defensive misalignments. Conversations among insiders suggest a level of excitement bordering on hysteria, as if Hill's rumored arrival signals the dawn of a new era in Baltimore, one where explosive plays become routine and defenses struggle to keep pace. Every day brings new conjecture about how quickly opposing teams could adjust, whether other receivers will thrive under reduced coverage attention, and how the speed of the offense could redefine expectations for the Ravens' playoff prospects. While concrete details remain scarce, the notion that Tyreek Hill could soon be donning a Ravens uniform has generated unprecedented buzz, sparking a whirlwind of speculation that rivals anything seen in recent NFL history. Rumors suggest that executives and coaches have spent countless hours evaluating the fit, poring over film of Hill's historic plays, and considering how to integrate his elite speed into a balanced attack. The speculation ranges from immediate changes in offensive terminology to potential adjustments in roster personnel, as the coaching staff allegedly contemplates tweaks to maximize Hill's deep threat capability while maintaining the effectiveness of the running game and existing receiving core. Fans, seemingly in a perpetual state of suspense, have created a digital echo chamber of rumor and conjecture, debating everything from Hill's potential chemistry with Jackson to whether the team's offensive line could support such a high-octane approach. Insider chatter also suggests that other AFC teams are watching closely, reassessing defensive schemes, and considering whether their cornerbacks can keep up with a player widely regarded as one of the fastest in the league. Betting markets, too, are rumored to be reacting to the news, with point spreads, over/unders, and individual prop lines showing volatility in anticipation of the impact Hill could have. The murmurs circulating on sports radio and podcasts indicate a growing sense that, should the deal come to fruition, the Ravens' offense may become virtually uncontainable, capable of turning any mistake into a momentum-shifting score. Analysts speculate that the speed differential alone could force opposing teams into conservative play calling, altering the pace and rhythm of games in a way few defenses have experienced. Even in the absence of official confirmation, the sheer intensity of the rumors has created a palpable sense of urgency, with everyone from casual fans to seasoned reporters trying to predict the ripple effects of what could be one of the boldest acquisitions in modern NFL history. The anticipation surrounding Tyreek Hill's rumored move to the Baltimore Ravens has created a frenzy of discussions, both online and off, with whispers suggesting that the team's offensive capabilities could become historically fast and dangerously unpredictable. Sources close to the situation hint that coaches are envisioning radical new schemes designed to exploit Hill's exceptional speed, combining jet sweeps, quick slants, deep corner routes, and creative motion patterns to stretch defenses to their limits. The chatter indicates that even veteran Ravens players are intrigued by the possibilities, recognizing that Hill's ability to break the first tackle and accelerate away from defenders could redefine their roles and open space across the field. Speculation also abounds regarding the psychological impact on opposing teams, with rumors suggesting that defenses may feel constant pressure, knowing that any lapse in coverage could result in a touchdown. Analysts and insiders argue that this combination of Hill's speed and Jackson's improvisational prowess could make the Ravens' passing game historically difficult to defend, with the offense potentially operating at a pace and explosiveness that rivals the fastest units ever assembled. Fan forums are overflowing with hypothetical scenarios, debates over play calling, and fantasy football implications, reflecting the high level of engagement sparked by the news. Rumors even extend to the broader league, with whispers that rival coaches are already brainstorming countermeasures, examining film, and preparing new defensive alignments in anticipation of facing such a high-speed offensive threat. As the buzz continues to build, the speculation paints a vivid picture of a Ravens team on the verge of unprecedented offensive innovation, leaving the NFL community buzzing with excitement, skepticism, and a fair amount of awe at the potential speed and explosiveness now rumored to be arriving in Baltimore. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.